What is up with the YouTubes? Watching for live here. You guys are probably wondering what this Stage 3 Plus Audi B5 S4 is doing in my garage. But if you guys have followed these videos for some time, you would have seen this car in the Audi S6 build vlog, part number 2. Was at a friend's house, had a couple cars over there. I just had walked around and showed this car briefly on film. This car belongs to a longtime friend of mine. Happens to be the older brother of the friend with the 92 Tornado Red S4 budget build car. Unfortunately, this car is here because the engine died after several hard pulls on 26 psi with the RS6 turbos on it. So what is even more unfortunate is that I am technically responsible for this failure. So before we start wrenching on this car, I just want to explain why this engine failure is my responsibility and what I plan to do to fix the car and make it even better than it was, when we give it back to the owner. So if you guys remember, a few months back on the week of Christmas, I took a trip to my friend's house in Chicago so we could film part number 3 of the Audi S6 vlog build, installing the VIM standalone ECU, getting the car street tuned. We had a good time making this video. And, while I was in town, the owner of the B5 S4 was out of town, so he wanted to lend me his car to drive around while I was there. He's not a car guy, and he just felt like his car was maybe not at 100%. So just wanted me to drive for a couple of days, see how it felt, and how I felt about the car. So after we got the C4 S6 dialed in, on the street, with the tuning and everything, we went and picked up the B5 S4. I actually have a few short videos of us picking up the car, so we'll just check that out real quick. Here's the goods. This is what we came for? So just gonna take this baby for a spin, drive around, just have something to drive, good times. Alright, so yeah, after we got the car, we went to our other friend's house in town to hang out for a while before making our way back. We had a few drinks, but I stopped early, knowing that I was going to be driving. My girlfriend was with me too, so she wasn't drinking or anything like that. So my friend with the C4 S6, he kept on drinking, so by the time we left, he definitely could not drive. So we agreed that I would drive his car, the S6, and my girlfriend would drive the B5 S4, since neither of us were intoxicated. Now, I personally own a Stage 2 B5 S4 that my girlfriend has driven many times, so I definitely felt comfortable with her driving this car. So we started heading back up 94, back towards Wisconsin. It's a big, wide open highway, so of course, we start playing around. And Christmas time, not really anybody out. So I'm really upset we didn't get any of this on film, because these were some really good races, but this was spur of the moment, and my friend was pretty drunk, so he wasn't necessarily going to be good at filming with the GoPro. So we did a few 60 rolls. She had pulled up next to me, and we started playing around. Like I said, we did a few rolls that were very close, but you know, unfortunately on the third race, something happened. I noticed she was pulling over with the four-way flashers on, so pulled over, ran back to see what the problem was. You know, she said it died going into the fourth gear and it would not restart, so she did not try again. So I turned the key, and at first it seemed like the engine did not want to turn over, and you know, of course this is really bad, but I tried it a couple times, and you know, it sounded like, you know, it started to turn over, and you could just hear it started, you know, after a couple tries it started spinning pretty quick, you know, sound like low compression. So I didn't try to start any further. You know, I knew, you know, something was obviously, you know, fucked up pretty good. So we called for a tow, and we got the car off the side of the road. So this really sucked. I was looking forward to us getting up the next day, you know, my friend sober, and going to get these races on film during the day. But unfortunately, the motor popped that night, and you know, since my girlfriend was driving it, and it blew, this, you know, immediately became my responsibility. You know, I immediately, you know, took the responsibility for this. So that's just how it works, and these are the risks when you take operating someone else's vehicle. So, you know, I 100% accept responsibility, but at this point, the really shitty part was that I had to call my friend that was out of town and tell him that I went to his house, got his car, and did not even make it to my friend's house because we blew up the engine. So this was really hard for me, you know. I felt so bad about it. I immediately offered to fix the car for free if he could ship the car to my house, to my garage here. So here it is, ready to get fixed, you know. I told him, you know, if his engine is beyond repair, I would just give him the engine out of my B5 S4, you know, so we can get his car back to 100%. So this is the engine that you see sitting on the floor next to this car. Removed it from my car previously, you know, so we could use it in this car. You know, bunch of cars around, really, you know, I've got some other plans for the car. So don't really have the finances to do anything with the car right now. You know, it's just, you know, stage 2, like I said. So just going to, you know, use it for, you know, payback. You know, gotta have a running car. But the plan for this repair is simple. I'm just gonna check the compression on the engine before I remove it from the car, so I can get, you know, some idea of how, you know, bad it really is. I'll then yank it out, remove all the accessories, turbos, clutch, etc. You know, and then I'll install all these parts on this engine sitting right here that I know is a good running engine. So I can stuff it all back in and get it running, so at least he can, you know, get his car back and drive it for the summer, you know. So after I give him his car back, I will have his engine to tear down and inspect on my own time, because I really don't have a lot of time right now with all these other projects I have going on. So as long as there's no major damage with his engine, you know, plans are to build that on the side. And, you know, hopefully, you know, we'll want to go single turbo street monster in the future, you know, because if that all works out, I would love to do that build on this channel, something I've always really wanted to do. Just got the car, you know, it's really late tonight. The shipper got here pretty late, you know, like 12:30. So just going to wrap this up. Just wanted to get this little intro video done, so when I wake up in the morning, I can just come down here, you know, pop the bonnet, show you the goods, and we'll just get straight to work as soon as the sun come up. All right, so this is the following morning. Went ahead and came down here and started cleaning up a little bit, making some room to make this a little bit easier. I went ahead and got some tubs over there for, you know, parts organization. You know, these engines have a lot more parts than the AAN that you're normally used to, you know, me taking apart, but, you know, got some stuff for that, like I said. Normally, you know, where my car is right now, that is my workshop bay, you know. Normally just do everything in that bay, but since the car is down, I'm just gonna have to do the car over here. So I went ahead and moved my heavy duty light over, so we'll have plenty of light for the video, plenty of light to work and see. Got this cleaned up over here, you know, got the hoist all the way back against the wall just to show you how much room, you know, we got plenty of room to do this job. So before we get started and showing you guys like, you know, my method of how I pull the engines on this car, did, you know, like I said, want to do the compression test. So just want to show you the engine before I start taking all this bullshit apart. Got that gold tape on there. Got that, you know, multicolor Spider-Man shit going on, you know, whatever. I, you know, personally don't really care too much about color, just, you know, typically do everything black. But, you know, I got a hot air intake on there. You know, normal shit. So, gonna go ahead, like I said, get all this bullshit out, the Y-pipe and whatnot, so I can get the plugs out and we'll check the compression on this bad boy before we get her into service mode and start, you know, yanking this puppy out. Got most of the bullshit on the top out of the way, the Y-pipe, coil packs, all that shit, you know, moved the expansion tank over here. Still gotta drain the coolant, so I didn't take that off yet. So ran into a problem taking the spark plugs out. I got to cylinder 4, that's on this bank, so on the driver's side, bank number 2, it's the one in the middle. I got to that cylinder and it was very hard to turn the spark plug. Literally took me like 3 minutes to get just that one plug out. I figured it was probably stripped out. Whoever put it in there, you know, typically when they're really tight like that, then they will, you know, be stripped out, or the cylinder head is stripped out, and, you know, all of a sudden it just pop and it break loose, and, you know, you pull it out and the threads are all fucked up, and, you know, that was what I was hoping for, but I finally got it out, and this is actually what the plug looked like. So you got a good plug on the left and you got a not so good plug on the right. So, you know, this one looking like Terminator 2 Judgment Day, you know, not so healthy, not so good. So unfortunately, we definitely have some major engine damage. So really not going to worry about doing the compression test anymore. Really just going to focus on getting this engine out, getting everything swapped over, getting it back in and running, and fixing up the little issues like the exhaust and like things like that. You know, just tidy everything up, get it running really good for him so he can drive his car. Alrighty, went ahead and got a bunch of shit knocked out. Pulled the front bumper off, got a nice moving blanket, put it down right there on the side on that moving blanket. Probably will just move it into the basement to keep it from, you know, tripping over it and, you know, possibly damaging it. Wouldn't want that. Went ahead and drained the coolant after that. With the bumper off, it's a lot easier to get to that lower radiator hose. So got that drained and pulled the front clip off. Left the clip outside so the radiator can just drip out there. You know, pulled it back in this afternoon. Took the power steering cooler off with that to let that all drain out. That's still dripping a little bit, so I got that pan right there to let that drip out. So it's pretty much in service mode, you know, like if you was gonna do like a timing belt or some shit like that. So got it up on the jack stands, got it pretty high in the air, got the front wheels off. I'm gonna need those off because I'm going to be, you know, popping the axles off the transmission and, you know, doing some drivetrain stuff. So I do gotta crawl under there. Probably will do that next, crawl under there, disconnect the downpipes from the rest of the exhaust, and then I will, you know, get the drive shaft, the axles, the shifter, you know, just do all that stuff underneath. I gotta crawl under there and do that. I'm really not looking forward to that, so just go ahead and get that out of the way while I still got some energy in me, and you know, just keep moving forward, and I'll come back up here and work on getting some of this stuff off, like these super duper juicy SRM side mount intercoolers. I mean, look at these bad boys, holy shit, look at this thing. Like, you can't even fit anything else in there. Like, that's as literally takes up every little square millimeter of space, all the way up to the frame right there, all the way to the fender. Look at that, huge. But I'll probably show those a little bit more when I get them off the car. I'm sure there's some people that, if you haven't seen those, probably want to see those. So, but yeah, just going to carry on. I'll do a few more things and then probably film a few more, and that's pretty much what I do. So carry on. All right, so got a lot of stuff done. I got pretty much everything done ready for the engine to come out. Just gotta, double check a couple things real quick because, it took a couple hours, to, just get it all ready to come out. But, it's just a lot of little tedious stuff. It's nothing that's like, crazy extraordinary that, anybody can do it. It's like I said, it's very tedious and you have to be patient. Be patient with all the plastic, don't want to break, the little plastic stuff, especially from the heat from over the years. So I started out by, disconnecting, the rest of the stuff, the harness and stuff on the top. You can see I've got that all pulled back for all the sensors, valves, the injectors, the coil packs, all those, just pull those off and back like that. I pulled the passenger side intercooler. I was going to try and leave them, but it was much easier to remove the APR Bi-pipe with at least one intercooler off. And one of the reasons why I chose to remove this side is because I noticed that it has been rubbing on the frame right here. And this is most likely due to its size. This is definitely a huge intercooler, but I guess the thing I dislike about it is there's only one place to bracket it. So it's almost like where it's wedged in kind of holds it in. So, I don't really blame the person that installed it too much, but we're definitely going to want to put like some rubber insert, maybe even like cut a rubber hose in half and just put something on there just to insulate it to keep it from rubbing, because I don't know if you can see that, but there's a nice little chunk taken out of there. But it looks pretty good. Beefy, SRM intercoolers. But yeah, went ahead, got the intercooler, the piping, all that bullshit out of there. There's a harness that goes on for the starter and the alternator. That's kind of a pain in the ass to remove if you don't remove the alternator. And since we got to swap the alternator anyway, that was no problem, no waste of time there. So went ahead and removed that. Got that harness out, pulled that back. Remove the AC lines I needed to remove, so those lines will come off with the engine because it's bolted underneath the oil pan, and we'll go through all that stuff once the engine is out. For the drivetrain, I've got the rear drive shaft disconnected, got the front axles disconnected, got the shifter linkage disconnected, the slave line is disconnected, so everything there is good. Got the lower downpipe V-band clamps off earlier. It's got the excess power exhaust on it, so it's got the 2.5 inch downpipe, so went ahead and got those off. So everything is pretty much ready to go for the motor mounts and trans mounts. Basically the bolts or nuts that are underneath, I've removed all the bottom ones, so I'll be able to lift it all basically off and out this way. So pretty much ready for that step. I just need to run through one more time and just make sure there's nothing, here or there, because you kind of just, there's so much to do on this engine, you kind of just do one thing after the next, and you might forget some things. So I'm just gonna go through, double check that stuff, and if everything looks good, I'm just gonna slide the hoist in and we're just gonna rip this puppy out. All right, so now that we've got everything disconnected, removed, loosened, etc., we can go ahead and start pulling the whole unit out. I did want to mention a few things just before. I did remove the entire axle. You can see the one on the driver's side right there. I think I had mentioned earlier I had just popped it off the transmission. But if you're going to disconnect the axle from the transmission, it's really not that much harder to remove the whole thing, and then that will make it way easier to get everything out. Otherwise, it's a really tight fit and you would have to remove the shields. I've left the shields on and removed the axle just because, you have, either way you have to remove the axle from the transmission to get it out. So I just choose to do it this way. If you're doing this and your upper control arm bushings are bad, this is a good time to replace them, because to get the axle out, you're going to take that bolt out of the upper control arms in order to pop those out of the spindle. Pretty much every car needs the upper control arms if they've not been done. If they haven't been done on the car by now, it's like a 20-year-old car, they're definitely popping, going over bumps, things like that. So All right, so here we are, driver's side. I don't know if you can see, but there is no washer. The head of the bolt is actually starting to go inside of the bracket. See that? And we'll go on the other side. I'll show you it's the same thing, same bullshit. Oh, here we go. Right in here. Look at that. See? See that? No big fat washer on there, so. Alright, just take one more look. Go up just a little bit on that side. Looks good, that looks good. Alright, let's yank her out. Okay, pull a little bit. Go up a little bit. Kind of rinse and repeat. Oh yeah, of course. Alright, so with everything yanked out, we are left with this enormous mess. Oh, so just going to go ahead and put the suspension back together. That's going to, you know, require like 5 minutes again on each side real quick so I can put the wheels back on and make it a roller. Going to get her back on the ground, push her outside because I really would like to degrease and clean all of this. It is so dirty from over the years. Everything, you know, clean it up, all the nook and cranny in there, you know, clean everything up really good. For my friends, you know, that's the least I could do for, you know, taking his car off street racing and blowing the engine. So, gonna do that, push it outside, and then after I get done cleaning that, you know, I'm gonna clean all of this bullshit up off the floor and get these engines, you know, side by side, you know, start tinkering on this one and doing everything we gotta do. You know, get the turbos off. I got some plans for the turbos. I'm gonna show you guys. We're gonna do some tinkering on those and kind of upgrade those a little bit before we put everything back together. At least that's the plan anyway. So let's just go ahead and get all this bullshit cleaned up and then we'll go from there. Wow, look at that. Look at that. All the nook and cranny nice and clean. Look at that frame rail. You can just touch it. Subframe nice and clean. Got a couple spots that are kind of tough, you know. Probably gonna go get some engine degreaser from the store and try to do a little bit more. But now onto the engine transmission assembly. Got a lot of dirt, oil, turbos covered in oil. So just wanna, you know, degrease a lot of this stuff and get this nice and clean before we start taking it apart. All right, got the downpipes off and made a very terrible discovery, unfortunately. So I just want to show you that. Got some metal chunks in that turbine wheel, driver's side. And you know, that's not no cheap KO3, that's a RS6 turbo, so that really sucks badly. A lot of that oil in there. So what's interesting is there's a little bit on this side too. Look at that little piece of metal just sitting right there. So this side does still spin, but it's not sounding too healthy, and you can see there's oil. You know, I expected some oil maybe on this side, but oil on this side too. So this really sucks because, you know, now I'm gonna be in the hole, you know, getting these turbos fixed. And as much as I want to talk them into single turbo and be like, dude, I'll just give you a turbo, you know, and we'll go single turbo, you know, it costs a lot of money for all of the modifications and, you know, all this, everything to, you know, support that. So it's not going to be doing it this time, unfortunately, but, you know, let's go ahead and get these turbos off and check them out. I was hoping at this point I was just going to be showing you guys these upgraded Mamba Wastegates that we're going to be installing in order to, you know, help build boost pressure a little bit earlier, and just overall, you know, when you got the turbos out, now is the time to do some shit if you're going to do some shit, obviously. So we were just going to be putting these on. I was going to show you guys how to do that. I built a little rig to test them, make sure they're cracking at the same amount of pressure and, all that good stuff. But for now, unfortunately, we got the turbo that is completely fucked, major damage. This is the one driver side. It's actually, totally locked up. Can't turn it or nothing. Passenger side, I do have some shaft play, like more than normal shaft play. But obviously this one is the one that is got metal chunks and shit. So I'll even show you, I think there's still some in there. Oh yeah. Look at that. See that? See that metal in there? Oh, there's some more pieces. Burp the baby. Look at that big chunk right there. Holy shit. Whew. So yeah. Fortunately, this little guy is smoked. But on the good side of things, luckily I personally know Austin at Turbo Lab, and he doesn't live all that far from me. So I talked with him, so I'm just gonna go up there today and drop these off and kind of see what he can do, see what we can save. Hopefully the just need like the turbine wheel on this one, most likely because of the foreign object damage. Right up here. And there it is. Turbo Lab of America. That shit. Right, here we're at the Turbo Lab. Here's Ian's car. Nice little setup he's got here. Been up here quite a few times. But let's wait for him to come out here and we'll take a look at these bad boys. Get this show on the road. Oh, yep, she's done. Oh, yeah. Stuck in there.
Oh, perfect. It is a bigger turbine. Yeah.
So that is the...
Yeah, that's the one you need.
Okay. Fuck, you're good. Damn.
Jesus. I think you got pretty lucky on that because I didn't want to machine that. I have the plates and everything to do them. Well, actually, I don't even know if I have the plates to do that one. I can't remember. It's just not a preferred job I'd like to do.
Look good.
They got a piece stuck right there. See that? I don't know. It's not really coming out. I think it all got wedged under that heat shield. And got hit pretty hard.
Oh yeah. Alrighty, just got back from Turbo Lab. Austin told me, it really wouldn't be a long turnaround, but he would not be able to do it today. So I just dropped him off, tell him I'll be back next Sunday on my day off. So just going to spend the rest of today getting the engine ready for disassembly so we can see the actual damage. I'm sure we are all wanting to know what is, the damage on the inside, just how bad is it? I know I really want to know, so that's definitely going to be the next thing. I'm just going to pop this transmission off, get it on the engine stand, and I'm going to remove everything I need to swap to the other donor engine. So that way when those turbos come in, we can just pop them on the motor and, get ready to go. But for now, let's get this bad boy on the stand, get it all torn down so we can inspect the damage. Got the engine up on the stand. Went ahead and started unbolting a few things. Got the intake manifold removed. Got a few little, bits and pieces here and there removed. Got the timing cover removed. So just need to go ahead and remove the timing belt, valve covers, and the inner timing cover. I'll have to pop that cam gear off in order to get that cover off. So that way we have access to remove the cylinder head. So I'll just go ahead and knock all that stuff out and pretty much get to the point where we're ready to yank this puppy out of there. Alright, hopefully that's it. Let's just give her a nice yank. Oh yeah. Alright, here she goes. Oh my god. Woo! Holy shit. Woo! Oh yeah. Looked like it broke off the valves or broke off a valve. Holy shit. Look at that. Holy shit. Yeah, that's bad. I'd say that piston is not good anymore. Damn. So, definitely had a failure on this cylinder. Broke a valve off and it bounced around and broke all kinds of shit. Oh yeah. Alright, so it is a new day, bright, beautiful morning. Got the budget build car out. It's been a little while since I've driven this car, put miles on it. You know, I've just been busy driving cars to work and stuff like that. So, just want to get her out, stretch her legs a little bit. I did notice when I started up the check engine light's on, but you know, my scanner's at work, so just gonna take it a couple miles. If she's not running good, then I'll turn around and come back, but I'm sure she's fine. Probably just a rich code with the tune and everything like that. So, talked to Austin last night. Turbos are done. It's just been a couple of days, which is pretty awesome, you know, really fast turnaround. So I just went ahead and took the day off so I could go up there and get them. Just really want to, you know, get this car done for my friend and, you know, get it back to him. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and make that journey. Alright, got the RS6 turbos back. Looking super fresh. Basically like brand new. Got brand new turbine wheels. Full rebuild kits, all painted, looking very nice. Austin hooked me up, gave me a very good deal. So, very happy with that. Very happy to have those back. I went ahead and had them just put the factory wastegates on. Upgrading them is really not that hard. But I wanted to show you why we're upgrading the wastegates. I did test them already, so I just want to show you guys that before we upgrade them. I figured I would put these factory KO3s up here on the table next to them just to get a comparison for the compressor wheels. It's kind of laughable, honestly. The compressor wheel is so small, it's hard to imagine it could actually do anything, but you know, everything has its purpose. So Just going to get my little test rig up here, get that all set up so we can test out these wastegates, like I said, and upgrade them and get this show on the road. All right, and one last comparison I want to do is with the turbine housings. The KO3 on the left, it's got the same housing as the KO4 that come on the RS4, so it's pretty small. The turbine housing for the KO4 for the RS6 is much bigger for the added displacement of the engine. And if you're going to be running, you know, E85, high boost pressure, definitely want to go with the RS6. I definitely have noticed over the last few years a lot more people are going with the RS6s versus the KO4s, and it's a pretty obvious choice. You know, if you're definitely going to be pushing it hard, you know, you want to have more exhaust flow, because the more back pressure, the more heat, and the more you're going to rob power, and it just doesn't make any sense, especially when these things are so tight knitted in there anyway, and there's really not a lot of room for the heat to go. You want to try to manage that as much as possible. So running low boost pressure, you know, the RS4 KO4s are fine, but running high boost pressure, definitely recommend going with that RS6 for the turbine housing. Much better. Alright, just want to show you my little wastegate rig I got here. See people do this with vacuum pumps and all different kind of things, but this is how I've always done it, because I've got a little air compressor. So I've got that filled up with air, and I've got my line here coming up from the basement into this little air nozzle. See, that compressed air. So I got this vacuum line that runs up to this T. See that? And then from the T, I've got a boost gauge right there, so we can see how much pressure is in this line, because we need to know how much pressure, because we're adjusting the wastegates and seeing, you know, what pressure they crack open and all that good stuff. So then from the T, it goes to another T, and since we're testing 2 turbos, we got 1 for each actuator, and it is literally that simple. That's all you got to do. So I'll just go ahead and get the turbo set up. All right, got my rig all set up. We're just gonna test these out, like I said, just to see what they're cracking at. They're 7 PSI spring, but I'm pretty sure they're, you know, opening sooner than that. So let's just find out. That's 3 PSI, 4 PSI, 5, ooh, 5 PSI. This arm just started to move. So let's go to 6. Okay, they're both moving now. Oh yeah, they're definitely both open. Holy shit. So if we go to 7 pound, right there, look at that. Can you see that? They're like halfway open. I can move the flap around, stick my finger in between. Damn, that is crazy. 10 pound all the way open. Look at that. All right. So that's definitely the issue. 5 PSI, they're opening already. So yeah, that's definitely why these things feel laggy. So we're just gonna go ahead and install these Mamba Wastegates. All right, got them Mamba Wastegates installed. Look at that, looking nice and fresh. I did play with those yellow springs, the 12 pound spring, but I went ahead, took them out, and put the gray spring in. I just wanted to make sure they was working properly before I started playing with them. So got them working good on the 1 bar spring. I set the 3mm preload, but they still were kind of off a little bit. So I just had to tweak them back and forth to get the preload correct, so that way they're opening at the same time, cracking at the same time, and, you know, opening the same amount of distance. You know, you kind of want everything to match. So went ahead and got all that done. So let me just hook it all up and show you guys this, how in sync everything is. All right, got everything hooked up. Just gonna add some boost pressure to show you guys that they're opening at the same time. See that? Pretty good. Got them as close as possible. And then right at that 15 PSI, you can see they just both start cracking open. All right. right, so just gonna go ahead and get them installed on the car since they are working properly, and then I'm going to test them one more time when they're on the car, just, you know, right before everything goes back in. We just want to make sure it's working right. So let's get them installed on the car. All right, got them turbos installed. That was a lot of fun. It's like a little puzzle, but luckily got both of them done. Everything, you know, clocked correctly and whatnot, ready to go. So wanted to, you know, make a note that I got the one-time use only clamp on there on both of the wastegate lines. This car did not have a clamp on either side, which is, you know, kind of dodgy. So I just went ahead and bought like a nice little kit. It came with the tool to install them. So went ahead and threw those, you know, clamps on there so we don't have any leaks or anything like that. I have left the inlet pipes off. That way I'm just going to drop the engine back in the car to make sure the mounts and everything line up. So if they don't, I'll just loosen them and, you know, spin them, you know, so that way that's good. So everything but the inlet pipes, got the outlet pipes all done, got the starter just hanging with the bolt right there to not interfere with this side. I did have to spin this around right here, show you. I did have to take a little bit of material off the bracket right there just to fit the vacuum line for the wastegate, but you know, that was to be expected. It looked like it was sticking out pretty far. So no big deal, really didn't you know, suffer the structural integrity, you know, didn't seem like anything is, you know, messed up. So I went ahead and got my little, you know, vacuum line here. So I got my boost gauge. So I've got taken the line off the boost controller, and I've got my compressor going to be going into there. So that way we can check the lines to make sure they're not leaking, and then we can double check the wastegates real quick before we slap everything back together. Got the camera set up so we can see both the actuator. This is the driver side actuator, passenger side. I got my little rig, got some compressed air right here. Just hook it up to this. I've got a T-fitting right here, so I can basically let the pressure off and, you know, go back and forth to see, you know, make sure everything is even, because we know that they're cracking at the right pressure. We've already tested that. They look like they was cracking evenly, but we're just gonna double check, make sure. Oh, I heard them both move same time. Oh yeah, that looks good. Awesome. Cool. All right, so just wanted to make sure everything looking good. Going to be, you know, running over 20 pound of boost, so I'll probably just hold it at like 25 pound and, you know, just make sure that the air is not bleeding off anywhere, leaking through the lines and, you know, shit like that. So just want to double check all that stuff. Obviously got one chance of this before we go back in, so we just want to make sure we get it right. So now's a good time. Before we put the clutch on, I want to show you guys the clutch and flywheel setup that we got. It's pretty cool, so let's just check that shit out. All right, I just want to show you this clutch kit before I put it on the car. Got some nice hardware, nice metal to rod bearing. So this is a Ringer Racing Stage 5 clutch. That's right, Stage 5, just like the number of cylinders in my car. Very heavy duty. The disc is, they call it a metallic disc, like ceramic, copper, like a bunch of you know, materials that like a lot of heat. So you can see it's so shiny. I don't think I've ever seen a disc so shiny like that. Like you feel it and it doesn't even feel like it's got friction at all. But this is supposed to handle an incredible amount of power. Not sure why he went this high. Maybe just because, you know, it's not that much more expensive. But, you know, a Stage 3 would have done just fine for how much power this car has. So don't get the wrong idea. This is just what he sent me, so I'm going to use what he sent me. Definitely, you know, thinking hard engagement, you know, probably not the funnest to daily drive, but, you know, if you want to dump the clutch and get it really hot, that's definitely something you want to get. So this is the lightweight flywheel, Clutchmaster Industries. Pretty good. Got like the 7A style pilot bearing in there. So to go ahead and get the flywheel installed, get the clutch on there, so we can start, you know, getting the transmission ready and getting it on there and unite them back together in marriage. Went ahead and got it on a pallet on the hoist here. That just makes it easier to, you know, hold the engine still and, you know, torque everything down. So I got the flywheel torqued on, then the clutch and the pressure plate. Just pull my alignment tool out there. I'll go ahead and get this transmission spacer and put that on here, so don't forget to put that on there. I've done that before, not a good thing. So put that on there, and then I'll get the transmission ready for installation. All right, got the transmission all cleaned up, got the throttle bearing installed. Look at that, nice and fresh, ready to go. Already got the spacer on there. That's all lined up. Just gotta get the bolts. So just go ahead and assemble these. I just got a little piece of wood right there on that part of the jack, so that way when I lift it up, it kind of stays level. So I'll just go ahead and install the transmission. All right, so with the transmission installed on the engine, I'm gonna go ahead and change the fluid now. The reason being is before I put the downpipes on, it's easier to take these shields off. I also wanted to take those outside, clean them off, because, you know, from all the years, you know, they got all that oil, dirt, and grime and all the nook and crannies. So got those off. The fill plug on the other side, it's a lot easier to get the bottles in there to fill up the transmission. So, you know, now's a good time to do it. I just put it on a jack stand to make it level like it is in the car. I went ahead and removed the fill plug on that side. So I'll just go ahead and drain this front plug. Oh yeah, nice and dark. So got this kit, basically transmission, you know, fluid exchange kit. 3 bottles and a magnetic drain plug for like $52, something like that. So it's a pretty good price. I remember I got these at the store one time and it was like $80 just for the bottle, so I thought that was pretty good. So just let that sit here and drain, and then we got this drain plug on the back too. We'll pop that one out, drain that one. I'll get it all drained, fill it up, put our new plug in, and we'll get ready to put those down pipes on. Went ahead and got the inlet pipes on and got a few little things like that done, so just go ahead and, you know, knock a bunch of that shit out after I get the fluid changed. All right, got the axle shield on there. Gonna put the down pipes on. Just wanted to show you that I did get the nice Victor RS6 multi-layer gasket. Much better than that excess power crap that came on there. These like $25 each, Parts Geek. I did get the big fat washer for the trans mount that was missing on both sides, causing the bolt to eat away at the bracket. So you can see this one's installed just to show you. Got that nice big washer, so once I tighten that down, you know, it won't move around and the bolt won't be going to the bracket and, you know, causing, you know, possibly the transmission to move around. So gonna just put this one in on the other side, get these down pipes installed, and we're gonna slam this puppy in there. All right, got the assembly done, ready to go. Got the down pipes on there. Trans mounts all ready to go. So got the car jacked back up to the sky. Got my jack right here. I'm gonna push that on the other side of the subframe, so that way when I put the assembly in, I can put the end of the transmission on that in order to get the mounts over and, you know, get everything lined up and ready to go. So without further ado, let's just pop her back in there. All right, I'm a little bit closer now. I did go ahead and take the transmission mounts off and just left the bolt hanging like that. That's just gonna help us a lot more. Almost there, a couple more inches to go back. I flipped the jack around because it was kind of hitting the exhaust back there, so I had enough room to bring it up here. So I flipped that around. So pretty much just, I don't know, a good fucking 5 inches, something like that. More to go. Just kind of going back and then just figuring out the right, you know, way to set it for it to go in. So all right, so now we're basically all the way in. There might be just like, yeah, probably like a 1/2 inch. Just kind of gotta move it around. Gotta go maybe back like 1/2 inch to 1 inch, something like this. But I just want to show you that with the trans mounts out, just got that bolt dangling down. So I'm just going to basically just sneak in there and slide the trans mount in both of them and just, you know, get all the bolts like, you know, not tight, but just all threaded in, and then I'll set the engine down on the engine mount, and then I'll tighten everything down. So yeah. All right, and with a little bit of finesse, she's in. Not the easiest thing to do by yourself. Definitely recommend doing with somebody else. Would definitely help a lot. But trans mounts tight. Got that big fat washer on there. Got the motor mounts in, nice and tight. That stern engine mount on that side and that side. So first order of business, I should say. I want to go ahead and plug up the slave and bleed that and make sure that's good. Want to do that before, you know, connecting all the electrical connectors and putting the axles and, you know, putting everything in like that. You know, in case we got a problem with the throttle bearing, or, you know, just for some reason I can't get the clutch to work. You know, I shouldn't have to have the car running to get it to bleed. So I'm just going to do that first, because, you know, if it has to come back out, it'll be easier at this point to come back out. So do that, and then after I make sure that's good, then I'll just start, you know, plugging everything back in. Probably save the front axles for last, you know, just make sure, you know, get it running, and once it's running, I'll probably worry about that shit. All right, went ahead and got my power bleeder on the master cylinder, bled the slave cylinder. There's no more air coming out, seems like, so when I get in the car, it should have good pedal, in theory. So hopefully if it does, we can see how firm it is. So let's see. Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, it's not too bad. Not as bad as my car. Not too bad. So one tip that I did want to share, one thing that really helps me and helps me with my car, because my car, for some reason, I can only get it bleed the slave cylinder with, you know, that power bleeder like that. So with the power bleeder hookup, I don't do more than like 10 psi. I think it's only on like 8 psi right now. But after I feel that it's pretty good with the power bleeder hooked up, I come in the car and I just over and over again press the clutch. I do this like 30 times, and you'll see, I don't know if you can, but the air bubbles will be coming up the line like that. And that doesn't mean that there's air in the system, but I don't know why, but this works really good every time I do this. So I just want to share that with you guys. That's how I do it. And then sometimes I'll just like hold it at the floor like that. So I'm holding it, there's just like bubbles coming up. It feels really good now. So that's it. Like, I'm not even going to manually bleed it. I guarantee you it's going to work just fine. I do the same thing on my car every time. So that's that. All right, so with the clutch slave bled, I went ahead and hooked up the shifter linkage. Got reverse, first, second, third, quattro, 5, and 6. So that's all the gears is there, so that's pretty good. Basically went under there and I put the boot, the shifter boot, made sure that was installed, hooked the linkage up. While I was under there, I did reconnect the downpipes and I did the rear drive shaft, so that is all bolted in. So I'm just gonna go back up there, start plugging in all the sensors and everything like that. I need to get the intercoolers on, and, you know, just need to knock out a bunch of that shit. Where, you know, install the alternator, you know, whole bunch of work to do still. So all right, I just went ahead, got everything buttoned up, you know, a bunch of little tedious shit. Really takes time. Some of it's, you know, kind of irritating, but, you know, fuck it, it's all done. You know, that's all that matters. So, got the front clip on, radiator support, got everything hooked up, everything up top, all the lines, everything, got all the clamps, everything, connectors. So just gonna fill it up with the oil, got some fresh coolant gonna mix for it, and power steering fluid as well, get all the fluids filled up so we can prime this baby and get her fired up. All right, I've already primed it a few times, but I basically just keep holding it for like 20 seconds and let off. And, you know, I got a bunch of shit to do around the house, so I've just been like kind of going back and forth. Just want to make sure everything's nice and primed. You know, there's a lot of things that the oil has to circulate through in there. Turbos, you know, the bearings, main bearings, rod bearings, all the lifters. You know, it's been sitting for a while, so I just want to make sure that everything is nice and lubricated. So that's why I'm just kind of being anal about that. But
Let's go ahead and put the fuse back in and we'll start her up. All right, got the fuel pump fuse back in there. All the priming is done, ready to start this bad boy up. See what happens. Not running very good, but it's running. All right, that's a little better. Idle him down a little bit. Definitely got some lifter tick. That's normal. So I'll just let it run for a little bit and then I'll come back. Hopefully that will go away. All right, she seems to be running good after that last 5 minutes. All the lifter noise go away. No leaks. Just got a little bit of smoke burning off. That's totally normal. All the dirt and grime, you know, from your filthy hands. Putting those turbos and downpipes on, so that's totally normal. Seeing smoke, don't worry. We got no leaks. So, seems to be running good. Should have, oh yeah, no bubbles no more. That's good. Might have to top the coolant off, but you know, we're pretty much ready for a test drive. Just gonna put the headlights and the bumper back on. But I have not driven the car yet, so should probably make sure the clutch is working. But let's see here. We got no code still. The only light on is the window wash, so oh, that is very good. So let's go ahead and put her in first gear. Put out the clutch, see what she feels like. Oh yeah, look at that. She's moving. All right, reverse. Oh yeah, look at that. She working good. Oh, this is always a good feeling. So just make sure she's not overheating. Make sure that the cooling fan is going to turn on when it's at operating temperature. So I'm going to go back and go to the data and watch the coolant temperature. So just going to make sure that it's not overheating sitting here, and I'll shut it off, let it cool off for a little bit, and while it's cooling off I'll put the headlights and the bumper back on, and then we're going for our first drive. Woohoo! So excited. All right, got them headlights installed in there. So I am just going to leave the bumper off for now. I was going to go ahead and put it on, but the cooling fan is actually not coming on when it gets hot. It's not overheating or anything yet. Just sitting here running. I might have an air pocket somewhere, but the fan is not coming on from temperature. Obviously you got the manual fan is working just fine, but there's no Freon in the system yet. I have to take the car to work to recharge the air conditioning. So easy way to check your cooling fan is to turn your AC, but since there's no Freon, the switch is not going to kick the fan on, so I can't do that either. So not worry about it overheating right now. We're just gonna take it for that first drive. Maybe there's an air pocket in there. When I get back I'll check that, and you know, definitely got it plugged in. So you know, just gonna recharge the AC if it doesn't work. If the fan doesn't come on with the AC on, then I can start diagnosing why the fan is not coming on. So I'd say she's ready for that first drive. Let's get it. Alright, so ready for that first test drive. I moved the car from the garage to the driveway, and in that little bit, I'd say maybe like 50 feet of driving, first impressions of the clutch, it is very similar to the 4-puck ceramic in my car. It chatters really bad if you don't use any RPM. You gotta, like, you know, rev it up real good, you know, race car shit. So if you was wondering. But I just want to apologize in advance for the exhaust. Unfortunately, the exhaust on this car sounds very bad. I had excess power, still has excess power, but the, you know, shitty China muffler blew out, so he went and they welded in some resonators, and oh my god, it just sounds really bad. It crackles and pops, but it's not like the right kind of crackling and popping, you know. It just sounds like shit. So we're gonna be taking care of that before it goes home. But for now, like I said, sorry for the shitty exhaust. But ready or not, here we go. Got Got my scanner right here with my coolant temperature so I can monitor that. Yeah, you really got to rev it up to get it going. Normal clutch braking procedure, city driving, normal shifting. Don't put power into it. We don't want the clutch to get hot. Sorry, I gotta have the windows down, no AC, hot as a motherfucker. But I'm just gonna keep, you know, slowing down to a stop, speeding up, get off this road, get on some side roads where I can do that. WRX almost pulled right out in front of me. Said, no way, buddy. So yeah, there's nobody behind me, so I'm just gonna slow back down. I'm gonna downshift every shift like that. Back to a stop and then back first gear. Get the car rolling again. Just normal driving. See what I mean about the exhaust? Just like the way, it's not the way it pops, it's the way it rattles. It's just like, oh, it's just like that. Oh, that is not good. So again, there's nobody behind me, so I'm just going to start downshifting. Slow down. Stop, first gear, and so yep, just gonna keep doing that. All right, got her all buttoned up. Look at that. So the cooling fan did end up coming on, so that's good. I was putting some miles on the car. It's pretty hot out, so I went ahead, took it up to work, made sure the AC passed leak test. That's good. Got it charged up, blowing ice cold. So came right back home, put the bumper back on, so I can just drive it around, break that clutch in like you guys saw on test drive. Kind of just been doing that. Got just over 120 miles on it so far, so that's pretty good. You know, the goal like around 500 miles. You know, this clutch, it does like heat, but I'm just gonna stay with the principles that I've always used in braking in a clutch, and you know, just being easy on it, all city driving for the first 500 miles, and then we'll, you know, give her a go. But before I can just continue breaking it in, there just are a few things I really need to fix that I just can't stand. The exhaust is the number one. I absolutely have got to get that fixed. So gonna be doing a video on that. Maybe not how to, but just documenting it and doing like before and after sound and stuff like that, just to show you that you too can make a homemade exhaust, just buying some parts off eBay and, you know, throwing it together. So not a big deal, just going to be doing that. Probably like a 3.5 inch single exhaust. Put a JHM, or sorry, I did like a JHM build a long time ago on a friend B5, and I put the 034 single, you know, 3.5 exhaust on it, and to this day that is the best sounding S4, you know, B5 that I have ever heard. So just kind of want to replicate that, maybe copy that a little bit, but see what we can do. That should definitely help it sound better. I lift up while at work to check everything out, and I see why it sounds so bad. Sound like a, you know, clapped out squatted truck when you're getting on it, and that is, oh my god, it is terrible. So gonna be doing that next video, like I said. But other than that, there's a couple of small things that I needed to fix. I went ahead and fixed them while I was up there at work, that were kind of bothering me a little bit. The wideband was not working, so I put a fresh O2 sensor in there and calibrated it. It's kind of all over the place. I've personally have never really had a lot of luck with widebands.
but you know, I'm gonna play with it more. But other than that, I just wanted to show you that it's really not installed in here very good. Like if you look at it in there, it's just all bent and shit. It's all cracked. Like I just don't like that. It's not up to my standard. And you know, I know my friend, you know, have this car, he keep it really clean, it's really nice, he got a really high standard. So I'm just gonna take one of my vents out of my car for now and use it to rebuild this one and make him a nice one, kind of like in my boost gauge video. It'll look just like factory. The only other thing, the boost gauge, got that AAM digital boost gauge. It was hookup where it would only come on with the lights on, and that was pretty annoying. So I traced the wiring. I found that there was a wire coming in here, and it's basically just going to a fuse to power to the boost gauge. So I ripped that out of there. Underneath the dash, there's those terminals right there. All the way to the left, there's the one in yellow. I think it's 75X. That's power with key on. So I got a ring terminal, put that on the end of that, put it on that terminal, and with key on, we got that boost gauge. Oh yeah. So that is good. Got the window wash filled up, so you know that dumb bullshit doesn't pop up. So if I got the 125 mile on there, still no check engine light. Well, I gotta reset that service light, but that's no big deal. But yeah, just wanted to show you guys that I'm very happy that it's running, you know, shifting good, everything good. So just figured this a very good place to end the video. You know, hoping to make another video, like I said, doing the exhaust and what that sound like, because I'm actually pretty excited for that, because I need to drive this car, I need to break the clutch in and make sure everything is working properly before I make that 800-mile trip home. So yeah, thanks everybody for stopping by. I know the video very long, but you know, I actually did end up cutting out a bunch of shit, so kind of just, you know, the basics here and there, but it was a lot of work, it was a lot of shit. So appreciate you sticking around. If you did, appreciate all the support, likes, all that shit, you know, that really helped the channel grow. So I couldn't be more grateful than, you know, the, you know, community that, you know, watches the videos, and it's just all the people involved is pretty cool shit. So like I said, appreciate you guys, love you guys to death, and hope everybody have a very good day.